Hi guys, I'm Jess Parker, co-founder and CEO of Parker Media, and I'm sitting here with Leanne Caruso and Michael Hyam from Franchise Assembly.
Hey, Jess.
Hi, Jess.
How are you?
So good. Thank you for being here today, guys. I'm really excited to talk about this awesome Canadian franchise event you guys have coming up in December. Let's Grow Canada.
Can't wait. Looking forward to it.
Yeah,
Leanne, where's your logo, Leanne?
it's right here.
Oh.
You always got to be repping. Parker Media will be there as a speaker sponsor. I will be actually hosting one of the sessions about going from invisible to influential, how to leverage authentic storytelling and strategy on social media to grow your business online. And today we're chatting about everything Let's Grow. So to kick things off, could you each share a bit about yourselves, your background, and your role and how you started Franchise Assembly?
Sure. I'll go first. So I am a fractional CMO and I work specifically in the franchise space, and I've worked in franchising 15 plus years. I say that every year. It's probably up to 20 now, but I don't want to age myself. So I've worked with a lot of brands and I do a lot of franchise development. And so met Michael along the way. And I think between the two of us, we work with a lot of kind of emerging brands. And what we've noticed is there's a gap in education and resources for brands who are looking to enter into franchising. And then I think there's a gap in continuous education and training. I mean, there's lots of events, especially in the US, but there's not a lot of like true education, like one-stop shop for everything you need to know of like what's going on in marketing, what's going on in legal, construction, those kinds of things. And so we had kind of been brainstorming on different ways to work together, and we came up with this idea, and Let's Grow was born. So we launched it in the US in Fort Worth, and it was a huge success. And Michael's based in Toronto. And so we decided, hey, we should bring it to Canada and see what we can do. So we're very excited about it. So we're going into our second year in Canada and our third in US.
Amazing. I didn't know Leanne was like a whole conference onto herself. That's a great answer for that question, to share your background. So I love that intro, Jess, where you were like, you said, you said your topic on the speaking was going to be?
Yeah.
On how to become an influencer?
Yeah, how to go from invisible to influential.
That is great. So Leanne, I mean, this is us. I was invisible, and then I met you, and I became influential.
Yes, everybody timestamp that. I'm saving that one forever.
334. All right, we got it.
Oh my gosh, I kid. So I've been in franchising for about 20 years now. Almost all of it has been on the supplier side, where I've been working for, getting leads for franchisors. That's really what I've been in. Where I for those that don't know, I run the National Franchise Show. In the past, I also ran a trade show in Canada for a solid 10 years. And now I've been running the National Franchise Show. We have 25 trade shows all across the country. And, I wear a few other hats like that. A little fun story was our titles. We actually coin flipped on what our titles were going to be. I think it was over a hockey game. What? No?
Yeah. I lost a bet.
So what did you want to be then?
So we both wanted to be CEO. Yeah. And so I said we could be co-CEOs. And then he said, no, let's bet on it. And so I was stupid to take a bet. And anyway, I'm not.
Anyways, so that's, and then of course, Franchise Assembly was born, and we'll get into that a little bit more, but super happy to be here. And a side note, other than being in franchising for 20 years, I went to school for computer science and everything else, and much like 90% of the population, I fell into something that has nothing to do with what I went to school for. I am so happy that I landed in franchising because it was meant to be. This tight-knit community is wonderful and highly recommended.
Yeah, I feel you there, Michael. I mean, I went to theater school and then radio school. I mean, I was in the radio industry for a while, but I feel like everything you do in school is just transferable skills. And then it helps you, really shine in what you're meant to be doing. So I love that you guys are seasoned franchise professionals who saw this gap in the industry and wanted to support the community. It's all about coming together and making sure that everyone has the resources that they need to succeed. So, what inspired inspired you to start Let's Grow in the first place? Besides that gap, like obviously that's a lot of work that goes into it. So what was that final thing where you're like, you know what, guys, like we just have to do this, and you teamed up and made it happen?
I think from both of our standpoints, myself working with not just emerging brands, micro emerging brands, but even intermediate brands, and a lot of individuals that are getting into franchising. As we know, selling a franchise is not like selling a laptop at Best Buy. I love using that analogy because there are so many intricacies into franchising. And to give you an example, even working on a franchise trade show floor, which is even just the basic thing, you might have an individual who has decided, hey, I want to live and grow with the American dream. And so they take their pizza shop and they start to franchise. But you know what? They have been used to running their business. And in some cases, they might be the ones even making the pizza in the back and so on and so forth. And so they've been doing that their whole lives. What do they know that now they've got to not only make the shift to franchise? I mean, it's to make the mind shift and make the actual shift that they need to do, something completely different. It's a completely different business model. And so there are so many of those instances where I'll give you a little silly example. On a trade show floor, someone who comes in and they're working a trade show, they might not even know. For us in franchising, it's common sense that you've got to follow up with your lead. I just talked to someone, they're interested. I'm going to call them first thing Monday morning. Some of them don't even know, basic stuff like that, where we wanted to relay on and pass on that information. And so, I mean, that is, kind of minimizing it, but because there are so many umpteen things to do with Let's Grow, whether it's, real estate and construction or the marketing end or the sales, the strategies, what's working, what's not, all these different intricacies that we wanted to bring in for not just emerging brands, but, it's educating and re-educating. And then, of course, we know the landscape, much like any industry, is constantly changing. And so it's the same with franchise development.
Yeah, just quickly to piggyback on that, one of the other things that makes this a little bit different is I think going to so many different events in the franchise space that suppliers and sponsors who support the entire franchise industry and work with so many franchise brands to help them grow and help them succeed don't really get the platforms to shine, to show their thought leadership, to show their expertise. And I think they spend a lot of money to be at these events. And so one of the things that we wanted to do is make a very supplier friendly event so that, yes, you're going to have to spend more money because we have to support getting the franchisors there and getting them educated and taught. But we really wanted to give them a platform in order to show what they know and show like a marketer works with hundreds of brands or a marketing agency. They know what's going on in franchising. They know what's working, what's not. They know what trends are out there. And so who better to educate these franchise brands than to have a free hour of learning from the people who are doing it and supporting the industry every single day. So I think that was kind of reason number two. We flipped the script a little bit on, getting suppliers an opportunity to get in front of franchise brands and then getting true education and resources for the franchise brands in order to succeed. So I think it's kind of a win-win on both sides.
Yeah, I love that. And something that you said, Michael, really rang true to me. And it resonates with me from something I saw on the Field Coach Experts podcast that from AC Inc. is that when a franchisor first starts their business, like they're the expert in their industry, like their passion is building whatever it is, whether it be a pizza shop or automobile company or whatever that is. And then when they become a franchise, they have to learn a whole whack of other skills that really wasn't in their wheelhouse, or maybe isn't of interest to them, or maybe they just weren't educated in that way and they had started their company as a business owner and now they've basically started another business within their business, which is managing and growing your own franchise. So having this resource like Let's Grow, especially for Canadian franchisors to come together and learn these things and grow together as a community, is fantastic. Since launching Let's Grow, how have you seen the event impact the attendees and their businesses? Are there any standout success stories?
Yeah, I would say, I know that there's a lot of new partnerships that are formed. So people are finding those supplier partners that they didn't know existed, or that they didn't know what they, kind of how they supported the industry. So I think there's definitely new partnerships that have formed, new relationships and new connections, other franchisors, learning from other franchisors on the roundtables and then in the networking. And then I know that one of my clients changed the entire way that they do discovery days based on the first Let's Grow. And they learned from one of our presenters at the Entrepreneur Source about changing up the way you do discovery days, and it saved them a lot of time and money, and they ended up being a lot more successful. VP of Brand Dev over at this brand constantly thanks me and tells me about how that changed their sales funnel and how it works so much better for them. So I love hearing stories like that.
I have a similar story. Actually, literally just heard it 2 days ago from a client a franchisor. I'm not going to mention the brand, but they are coming back to Let's Grow, and it just said, I guess one of the things is that some of the more emerging brands still work off of Excel spreadsheets, and they might not even have a CRM. And in this case, they didn't have a CRM. They didn't know what lead to speed was. And she was just telling me how literally off of a trade show floor, you can get your leads placed into the system by scanning a badge and have it go straight into your CRM and schedule your email for you to go out. And she was just telling me how much she loved to learn that and didn't know that technology even exists. But I love it, the fact, that they don't know it, because why should they when they're doing 100 other things? This part of the world hasn't been in their wheelhouse. And so I just love the fact that they're learning things, they're implementing these ideas and these thoughts, and making things more efficient, right? Because I think workflow automation is huge for all of us.
Well, yeah. And for the fact that you guys have only had Let's Grow Canada for a few years now, the buzz around it is just so exciting. Like, people are noticing that they are walking away with real value, and in some cases leads on the supplier side, but on the franchisor side, it's that education that really helps them grow their business. And like you said, if you don't have a CRM already set up, that's super important. So the fact that they're able to come to their community and it's a no judgment zone, it's like, no, hey, like, we're all here to support each other. Let's share what we know so we can grow together. Let's grow Canada together. That is just so amazing.
Love it.
What theme or key message are you most excited about for this year's event?
So one of the things that we are doing in Let's Grow Canada is, because there's such white space in the events like this in Canada. In the US, there's one every week. Like, you can't even go to all of them. But in Canada, this just doesn't exist. And so one of the things that we decided to do is open it up to the whole franchise growth in itself, not just sales and development. So we're covering marketing, operations, leadership, and sales. And that way you can bring your team, you can all grow together, you can all grow intentionally together and be on the same page, because you're learning from the same thing. The other thing is you can divide and conquer. So if you, instead of just going with one person, now you can bring 2 or 3 people and you can hit different sessions and then come back to the table and share what you learn and collaborate in that way. So we're super excited about being able to open up and bring more content and topics to the entire Let's Grow Canada together. I love that. But bringing that entire the team in place, and so building content around that.
Piggyback off of what Leanne was saying, is that one of the things that we heard a few times from the franchisors was that we would love to get this in not just sales strategies, tactics, all that stuff, how to sell more franchises, but we'd love for a bit more information on the marketing aspect, and because marketing and sales go hand in hand, and operations as well. And so to Leanne's point there, I think that is probably the biggest thing that's going to happen this time around, is that we are going to have a bit more content. We actually tried to tone down the amount of content and make it a little bit more diverse, and we'll see how that kind of works out this year.
Well, yeah, and marketing has shifted so much in the last 20 years with the rise of, social media, which is also evolving and changing all the time. Like, I know from our company, we're always making shifts whenever we have, new changes to Instagram, or like, this is how you grow on LinkedIn. Well, they have new features rolling out like every couple of months. And if you're using those features, you can really enhance your digital marketing. But if you don't know what you're doing, then there's that that gap there, and you're not able to potentially succeed in the way that you could if you really did have all the tools at your disposal. So love that there's that shift and the addition of that marketing piece too, because it really is like in 2025, you have to be showing up online consistently and doing it in a way that's not selling. Like you have to deliver value in order to build a community. And that's why there's that that connection with franchising, because franchising is a community. So if you can show up properly online, then that's amazing. So how would you say, and I know we kind of went into this a little bit, but is there anything else that Let's Grow stands apart from other franchise events in this industry?
Yeah, I would say to the point of bringing in the subject matter experts, we're not going wide, we're going deep. So it's not, we will have panels, but it's not just panels. It's really true education, going in deep into a topic, and where they can have workbooks, they can have, you know, corresponding case studies and things like that, that they can actually sit there and do the work, or interactive polls. But we're really getting into the deep, the nitty gritty of the thing, instead of just surface level information. I'm so tired of sitting in one more AI session that's just like, okay, got it, but how do I do it? You know, so we will have a couple of AI workshops. We'll have a couple of you mentioned AC Inc. She's going to do an operations workshop, at FBC workshop. So we're gonna dig in. It's roll up your sleeves and get dirty. It's not surface level stuff. And so, I mean, can you just imagine being a brand and, you know, you have to hire a marketer to consult with you and pay thousands of dollars, and you have to hire a FBC person and an ops person, a technical person. But here you have like 2 full days of just learning all of the things. And then if you need to dig in deeper, you can. But it's just a cool opportunity to get some education for your whole team.
Yeah, and what I'm really hearing there, Leanne, is quality over quantity in terms of like amount of people who are speaking, because you want to give that space to really dive in. And there are some things that you know, anyone who goes to Let's Grow are going to learn that they would spend months potentially learning, because they spread it out over time and they don't take 2 full days to really just dive in and have their attention really on that subject or whatever they're looking to learn at Let's Grow. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
I've been to, I don't even know how many conferences, and never, outside of maybe on a panel, no conference allows the industry expert, who is usually the supplier, get up and speak. And, you know, it's usually content that's regurgitated from a franchisor for whatever reason. They're just afraid to allow them up there. And so that's the biggest thing. You know, you want to learn about lead generation through, you know, Meta or Google or whatever, and here's how to do it. And you know, then this is how to do it. And it's coming from the industry expert, you know, not from a franchisor who's going to say, well, this is, you know, what we do, but there's no explanation on how to do anything. And all of the sessions are from an industry expert who is going to relay over the information.
Well, yeah, and not only that, but workshop with them and get that real-time feedback, which I feel like is so valuable these days. Like you can watch a video on YouTube and learn from that, but you're not getting that feedback. You're not putting it into practice. And it sounds like, I know, for example, like my session will have a workshop component to it where you actually leave with a post that you've created that will be effective, and also the strategy behind that so that you can replicate it over time. And the fact that they could do that in all of these workshops is just incredible. We've talked about a lot of exciting things here. What else can franchisors and franchise leaders look forward to at this year's event?
Well, we have some really great keynote speakers, from emerging to established. We've got Ken LeBlanc and his business partner from Property Guys. They're going to tell their story. We've got Ford Sakes teaching AI. We've also got Ingrid Schneider doing an AI workshop. And then we've got AC Inc. doing a operations workshop. So we've got a lot of diverse content. Again, we've got construction related. We've got legal. If you're looking at expanding into the US, we've got legal content. We've got PR. We've got marketing, both on the franchise development side and on the consumer side. But there is a lot of like what's happening in the world. Everything is changing in marketing, which is to me the core of everybody's business on the Fran Dev side, on the consumer side. So what is everybody doing about it, and how are they doing it? And so I think that's going to be a big one. Again, AI tools and tricks that you can use instead of just surface level. AI in Fran Dev, which is also big. And then we also have great roundtable sessions, and that way you can talk to your peers and then dig deeper in some of those industry experts.
We've got funding, we've got accounting, we literally everything that Leanne had mentioned. When it comes to franchising, and because you're dealing with multiple locations, it's completely different than just, running your own sole business. So many different things on how you can further fund your franchisees, what you need to do, how you need, just all of those topics are in the conference. And it's kind of like learning 4 to 5 years of experience crammed into 2 days on growing your franchise, if I could put it in a nutshell.
Well, yeah, and not only that, but the people that they're going to meet, the professional speakers and just other people in their community, they can continue those conversations after Let's Grow and build those relationships outside of this community that you've created here. So, I feel like that is definitely why franchisors and franchise leaders should prioritize coming to Let's Grow. Is there any other reason you think that they should prioritize that?
I mean, I think that's obviously building relationships and making connections. That's kind of the foundation of everything that we do. We have mastermind groups, we have these events. And one of the things that we've learned from feedback is that we're really good at connecting people and building community. And I think that anybody who's attended any of our events before will say that the relationships they've built, because we don't do what everybody else does. We don't have exhibits. Those don't necessarily work all the time. We make sure that we're connecting people in a meaningful way and sharing information. And when you build those relationships and make those connections, that's what, helps keep your franchise growth going, because then you have people to rely on when you have questions and, want to make a change and see what everybody else is doing. And, if you need something, the franchise industry is so great. They're always so good about helping each other out. And so it's just one more relationship that could potentially impact how you do business.
Totally. And I think mostly and most importantly, they should prioritize attending because of growth. They need to keep up. I mentioned a bit earlier with all the landscapes, things are changing, just to think of some of the old stuff, where people would literally sell through a phone book. Landscapes are changing, sales strategies are changing, ways of generating leads are changing, obviously with artificial intelligence on every scale, on every part of the spectrum, whether it is accounting or sales or operations. There's so many different things that are evolving. And so, you want to be on top of it so that you can make sure that your team and your franchisees and everything else is getting the most out of your system and efficiencies and all that stuff. So you should absolutely, even not just Let's Grow, but anywhere else, you want to continue with professional development, and you should be going to a few conferences a year so that you can keep up with all the changing landscape.
Well, yeah, professional development is so important if you want to stay ahead of the curve, which is a great reason to go to Let's Grow. It's and I think a key component we're missing here too, or that we haven't discussed, is really there's no selling at this event. Like, you're investing to go to Let's Grow to invest in your professional development. Like, I've seen those emails from you, Leanne, where you're like, your session cannot have anything that sells, and you preview everything before the actual event day to make sure that integrity stays intact, that it is a hub of professionals who are experts in their industry coming together to share their knowledge to help their community. And sure, I'm sure there's relationships that are built from that eventually lead to business, but it's all mutual growth, right? And the main focus here for Let's Grow is that education component.
Right. I'm glad you read my emails, because it doesn't seem like anybody else does. Yeah, so we do make it a priority, because I really don't want to screw this up for supplier partners. Like, the opportunity to stand in front of somebody for an hour and really share your knowledge, and then also get a roundtable and share that expertise. All of these other events, it's like you have to sell, because you've got like 1 minute to kind of get it all out. but you don't have to do that now. You can be a thought leader, you share your expertise, and that's how you ultimately sell in the end. So we make it very clear that just because a supplier is teaching it, they are not allowed to sell, or else they will not be welcome back. It is an educational resource opportunity only.
Well, yeah, and hopefully as the educator, they're also thinking of their own marketing. Like, use this as an opportunity to get footage of you as the expert speaking on stage, sharing what you know, using that as your long-term marketing strategy for people who aren't at Let's Grow, because not only is that going to bring some buzz back for 2026 Let's Grow to have even more people and more educators come out to this awesome event, but it's going to help position them as that thought leader and elevate their own personal brand just by being there. When and where is this happening, and how can franchisors and franchise leaders or suppliers get involved?
For sure, it's December 3rd and 4th. It's actually happening right across from City Hall at the Hilton Doubletree. You can't miss it. But if they log on to franchiseassembly.com, you can go on there. You'll see all of our events. So you're just going to click on the Let's Grow Toronto, December 3rd and 4th, and you can actually register right on there if you wanted to come as an attendee. If you wanted to, come for sponsorship, my email's on there. You can call me or email me anytime, michael@franchiseassembly.com. Of course, I'm readily available on LinkedIn as well. So if you have any questions or anything I can help with, or maybe you just need some advice on stuff, we're all kind of educators and have been when you're in the industry for this long. I get all kinds of wonky stuff. So feel free to keep it coming, and I'll do my best to help as much as I can.
That's awesome. I have heard one thing about you guys just through the community is that you're connectors. Like the vibe is that if they reach out to you, if you can't help them with something, you typically know someone who might be able to help. And I think that it makes so much sense that you guys, started Franchise Assembly, created Let's Grow. And I'm super excited to be a part of it this year. Parker Media is excited. We're going to have our team there filming. And if you see our camera guy, come hang out. We're doing fun stuff. So thank you so much for your time today, guys. We're looking forward to Let's Grow, and like Michael said, message him anytime, even at like 3 a.m. So anyway,
that before you go, we're so excited to have you and your team there. Thank you so much for supporting us and helping us get the word out even better. We've kind of been a two-man show for a couple years now, so having people like you who can help us elevate and get the word out and really make an impact is so great. So we're super excited.
Like, honestly, community is really important to us as a company too. And I know that's such a big part of franchising, and it's a big opportunity for me to get to speak on stage, because I find like I'll talk to people, and if I sit in the room with them and give them advice, they're like, oh, like, wow, like I actually didn't know that. And you can get so in your world where this is just a part of what you know, and then you speak to someone and they realize, like, you realize that you actually have so much to offer in terms of like helping them grow in a certain area. So it's really cool to have that opportunity. Is there anything you guys want to add that we might have missed?
Hope to see everybody in December.
Yeah, bring your teams.
We'll see y'all at Let's Grow.
Thank you.
Thank you.